Oh, that's fine. That's all good. All good. Yeah.
Thank you all for being here for our closing presentation during the Lenten Summer series. So grateful to Dr. Douglas for being here. This is a presentation where we've been, for the past 4 Wednesdays, talking about how we can view people who are coming to us with, we might not be familiar with their dynamics, their style, how we can welcome them and greet them when we don't. We're not familiar with them. Well, our charism for music is the pipe organ and the choir, and that is increasing in our culture, something that is unfamiliar to others. So therefore, to learn how to anticipate people's questions or reactions can help us be hospitable to them when they have lots of questions. So we're going to go a little bit after 7 since we're getting a later start, and that's just going to be okay. So thank you.
Yes. Well, hello everyone. We'll just make this very informal. We're obviously going to be talking about the pipe organ today. And there are the pipes of the pipe organ right there. These ones on the outside are called the facade pipes, which are the ones that you can actually see. But behind them, there are many more pipes that you can't see. Big ones, little ones, one's made of wood, one's made of metal, and so a bunch of different pipes. And then obviously, the control center is right there, which we call the console of the keyboard. And so that controls what pipes open, and I'll talk a little bit more about the specifics of that. So just a little history about the pipe organ, and this is very bare bones, so come next year for the full, lecture. I don't think anybody would come to the history of the organ. So in the beginning, pipes were made of hollow stems in different sizes and strapped together to make an instrument called the panpipes, which you can see on your handout there. The pipe organ was invented when someone decided to play a set of panpipes with a keyboard instead of blowing into each pipe. The pipes were placed into holes on a box called a wind chest. The second picture you can see there is the portative organ. Bellows were attached to provide the wind. Some of the earliest organs could be pumped and played by the same person. So holding it, pumping, and then playing like that. And we actually have a stained glass window of a portative organ right there, St. Cecilia. Again, called portatives because you could, carry them around. So I don't think I can carry this organ around, so that'd be very hard. All right, and then the third one is obviously the larger organ, and this is with external bellows, and that is what our instrument is today. The bellows are what provide the air to go into the pipes in the organ. The bellows are actually downstairs in a separate room, and all of the air comes up into the pipes, and then based on what stops, I pull or press, that opens the pipes, and then I play the different notes. So, and I provided a diagram at the bottom of that page about how the organ sound is produced. Once the wind is turned on in the bellows, the organist activates a pipe by pulling out one of the stops or pressing, and then press a key to open the valve under a pipe or pipes. The wind enters the pipe, causing a tone that is constant in pitch and volume until the key is released. That's one of the main differences between a piano and an organ. Until the electricity goes out, you can hold a key down and it will go forever until the electricity goes out or something else happens. So as opposed to a piano where a hammer hits the string and the sound decays. So some people will say, well, isn't organ kind of like playing the piano? It is. It's laid out the same, but the technique of it is very different because you have to sustain sound and it doesn't decay. And also we don't have the crutch of a pedal to help us smooth things together for those who have played piano. All right, so now let's hear what the organ sounds like when it is coming on, which most Sundays it's already on when you get here. So listen very carefully for the wind coming into the instrument. And now if we turn to page 2 in the handout, I have what's called a stop list of the St. Peter's organ. One of my favorite things about the organ, playing the organ, is I can make many different sounds, and the organ can really create so many different music colors, almost like that of a symphony. If you think about it in a symphony orchestra, there are many instruments playing together, and on this, we have several different pipes that can play together. So I'm going to go through a little bit of some of these individual sounds. And of course, the individual sounds can highlight words in a hymn or create different moods from calm to triumphant. So just think about it when Glenn or I are playing during communion. We're playing kind of holy hush music, is what we like to call it. Imagine if we decided to play that instead. That would, be a little bit too much excitement. So there's a lot of volume control on the organ. So the first set of organ pipes I want to talk about are the flutes, which are pretty much what sound like a flute if you were to imagine an actual flute being played. So here are a couple sounds. This is what is called the bourdon, which if you look on the place that says swell, and then you find the one that has a B, it's not bourbon, it's bourdon, and that one is a flute sound. Sounds like this. Now, of course, I can add to that, so you also see a harmonic flute, and that's at 4 foot. And so here is the bourdon, and then I'm going to add on the 4-foot flute, and you can hear a sound change. So that makes it a little bit louder, and it adds actually another octave to the sound. So interestingly enough, we categorize the organ stops by numbers, and I have a little cheat sheet at the bottom of that page as to what those numbers mean. The 8-foot is what's called concert pitch, and so that's kind of regular. It's the largest pipe other than 16 foots. The 4-foot sounds an octave above that. So right now I'm playing one key, and now I'm going to add on another stop that's an octave above that, or sounding higher. So I'm still just playing one note, believe me. Father Chris can attest. Yes, yep. Yep. And then I can also add on a 2-foot flute, which is the Waldflöte. So that adds more sound to it. And then if I go backwards, this is taking off the 2-foot, and this is taking off the 4-foot. The next kind of family of stops are called the principal stops. Those ones are kind of give you the general organ sound. And they are often called diapason or principal stops. They go by different names. Fun fact, a lot of American organs take different names from different countries. So for instance, we have some English stops on this that are called the diapason, but we also have some principal stops. We have a nasal, which is French, obviously. So different names. So this is the open diapason on the great division. So if you look for the great list, and that has to do with the lower keyboard. So we call the great keyboard the lower keyboard, and the swell the top keyboard. So this is the lower keyboard open diapason. It's obviously a little louder. Generally, we use principal stops to accompany hymns. Then, the third category I want to talk about are the reeds. And the reeds add kind of the extra color to our organ. One of them is the small trumpet that we have in the swell, which I can actually make a little quieter by if you look on the 3rd page, I have a picture of the console of the organ. Notice right above the pedal board, or the big keys, there's these pedals that kind of look like gas pedals on like a car. I can actually close. There's a box in there that the shutters close to make it softer. So it controls the volume of the swell pipes. So this is with it open. And now I'm going to gradually close it. So that's one cool thing too. All right, and of course, we have our lovely trumpet enchemades, which you will hear a lot of on Easter. So, I tell people that I give up trumpets and descants for Lent. So, you'll hear both of those come back. Yeah. All right. And then, I already talked about the length of pipes. Two unique stops that you might be wondering, well, you talked about 8 foots, 4 foots, 2 foots, but there's also pipes that have fractions in them. So there's one called the Nazar, which has 2 2/3. That is called a mutation stop. And for demonstrating for kids, I'm like, oh, it's like, you know, a superhero has a mutation or something. It sounds at a different pitch level. So I'm going to play one note, and I'm going to play that on the bourdon 8 foot, which is a flute stop on the swell. Now I'm going to add on, I'm going to keep playing that note, and I'm going to add on the Nazar 2 2/3. Notice how the pitch changes. I'm going to take it off now. So actually 2 separate notes. Now when you add that with other stops, it creates an interesting effect. So this is the bourdon 8, Nazar 2 2/3, and now I'm going to add on the harmonic flute, and now the vol de flûte, and all together, those create this kind of sound. So you can almost not hear that Nazard is playing a different pitch because of the combination of all the stops together. And for trivia, that particular combination of stops is called the cornet, C-O-R-N-E-T. So there will be a quiz at the end. I hope you're taking notes. All right. Then the other unique stop is called the mixture. And the mixture adds kind of a brilliance to the sound. And if I played this mixture by itself, listen to it and think of, just listen. So it's actually sets of pipes that play together. And they restart. So if you listen really carefully, I'm playing all of the white notes going up the keyboard sequentially, but you can hear how they almost restart. Isn't that interesting? Now add that to some of the other principal stops, and we get this brilliant sound. So it adds kind of a brilliance to the organ. All right, moving on. Looking at the picture of the St. Peter's organ console, I want to talk about a couple things. I need to get my own handout here. Yes, I'm wearing just socks. I didn't have time to put my organ shoes on. Yes, yeah. All right, so you have the console that is up here. And as I said before, the top keyboard is called the swell in this particular instrument. In different countries, they're called different things. So the actually lower organ is called the positive in Germany, and there's other names for the keyboards. But we call these ones swell and great. And not just because they're swell and great. But top keyboard is called the swell, and the bottom keyboard is called the great. So if you ever look at my music that I'm playing, I always have markings as to, I'm going to play the great here, or I'm going to play the swell here, so I know which keyboard I'm going to. And then the larger keyboard, the one that I play with my feet, which is down beneath those gas pedals, as it were, kind of cut off there. But that is laid out just like a piano or keyboard, and you play it with your feet. So the technique for playing pedals is you play both with your toe, like this, and then you also play with your heel, so like this. And so you can play it fast and alternating, and then also playing with 2 feet. So. Then the pistons. Those are the circular buttons that that below each keyboard that control sets of tabs below the music desk. So you see the music desk, which is the kind of wooden piece that holds the music. Right below that are those little tabs. And those control my stops. And a combination of those I can set with those circular buttons. So let me, for instance, show you how fast I can change between different sound qualities. So for instance, if I was playing something during Holy Hush, I would play the number 11, and it'd sound like this. And then say I suddenly needed to play a loud hymn. That didn't require me pressing all of the stops, so all to say that the phrase pulling out the stops comes from the organ, pulling out all the stops, and that's by putting all of the sounds on. So that's the really cool thing about this organ, is that I can prepare these so that I can press one button and I choose which stops will come on. So now, older instruments do not have that. And so I've played other organs where I literally have to pull them. I had an assistant that would help me pull them, and so that's always a harder thing. Last thing is the couplers. Now, we have the 2 keyboards, the swell and the grate. The couplers allow the sounds from one keyboard to be transferred to the other keyboard. So I can play one keyboard, but the sounds from both of those keyboards can be played at the same time. So for instance, I'm going to play the stopped flute on the grate here. But say maybe I want the small trumpet from the swell to be there as well. I can press what's called a swell to grate, and I'm going to do it at the 8-foot level. And now I can add on the trumpet sound from the swell. So it's essentially combining the sounds that you have from the swell to the grate. Yes?
Are those the white things at the top that have?
Yes. Yep. Those are the white things. It's both the stops and the couplers there. Yep. And then, if you see the little turn knob on the left of the console, that is where the chimes are. That's another cool thing on this organ. And that is controlled on of course, now I can't find it. Oh, there we go. Okay. So there are literally some tubular chimes in there that when you press the note, it hits the note and creates that sound. So that's one cool thing about this organ as well. All right. Well, while organists may be a peculiar people, which including myself, I hope this presentation has allowed you to think of the organ as less peculiar. This king of the instruments, as it's sometimes called, allows organists to choose many different colors and aid worship through accompanying and playing solo music. Are there any questions? Yes?
Do we know the age of this organ and
yes.
how it came to be here?
Yeah, so this organ was built originally in 1874 and has gone through a couple different rebuilds. And so it was originally called H. Pilcher and Sons, but the most, then it went, Kilgan and Sons, not Pilcher and Sons, and then was modernized by Holcomb in 1957. And then the most recent refurbishment has been by Milnar Organ Company, which is in Eaglesville. And they are the ones that still come in and tune the organ twice a year. So they're to thank for a in-tune pipe organ. So.
1873, I'm sorry. This is the organ that's here in this building.
I believe so. We have to confirm with Glenn, so yes. But yeah, yeah.
How long did you study to learn?
Yeah. So here, I can come out from the organ console. I started a piano at age 6, and then started playing the organ around 13. And didn't have any formal organ lessons until I got into my undergrad. So it was all kind of experimenting, and I was very lucky that an organist at the time knew that I was playing piano and said, "Hey, come on over here, try out this instrument. It has a bunch of different sounds." And I was like, whoa, this is cool. And then started figuring out what worked, and then was lucky that my church allowed me to play some services, and then started studying it seriously in my undergrad. Any other questions? Yes.
Can you play the flight of the bumblebee?
I cannot on the pedals, no. But there is a link on the back where they are literally playing the Flight of the Bumblebee, the main melody, with the feet. So that's a really cool video. So. The history of the organ? Of this particular organ? Yes. So there's a website called the Pipe Organ Database that has a lot of information about different organs, and that's how I kind of found out about that. I'm sure if you have more questions, Glenn would be a little bit more astute to the exact knowledge of that. So I always tell people that piano is my favorite instrument, but organ is my fun instrument. So. Yeah.
Are the number of students who are taking the organ increasing, decreasing, holding?
We have a movement right now that it is increasing, and that is in thanks to the American Guild of Organists that have a lot of programs that are encouraging young people to take organ lessons and providing them scholarship opportunities and things. So yeah, it is. There's the misconception, I think, that it's a dying art, but we are trying to keep it going and getting the lovely pipe organ used. So.
Is the piano prerequisite?
Not necessarily. So yeah, it does help because then you have know the layout of the keys. But sometimes it's actually even better starting off just on the organ so you don't have the preconceptions of the piano and the touch. It's a big adjustment when you first learn. Yeah.
What's the best organ you've ever played?
Oh, that's a good question. Now there's such different organs, but one of my favorites was actually in Pensacola, Florida, of all places. It was a modeled instrument after an instrument that was built in box time. And so it was, older style organ and had all of the stops that you had to pull by hand. And one thing I should mention is the organ console used to be right there, right above the pipes. And then it was moved over there. The reason it was there originally is it had what were called tracker action organ. And that is where, and sometimes you can actually hear this still to this day, some of it's left over. When you press a key, you are literally kind of opening the pipe. And so tracker action organs, you can see where one keyboard actually moves along when you're playing the lower keyboard. So it's like a ghost playing the top keyboard. And so that's a mechanical action between the two keyboards. In this modern instrument, you don't see the two move at the same time. But that's why it was there, and then it got moved over here. I'm not sure why, but who knows?
It was facing the other way, though, was it?
Yeah.
Is there an organ anywhere in the country, the world that you just, that's the one you love to play?
Notre Dame Cathedral. Yes, especially with its refurbishment. I have been blessed to have been there before the fire to hear the organ in a mass, and that was life-changing. So that organ, or Saint-Sulpice in Paris as well. So, yeah. Yes.
Probably should have had some of our youth up here.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
What is there to tune on? I mean, if pipes are fixed,
Yeah. So there's actually a mechanism that shortens or shortens and extends the pipe that you kind of have to tune with inside of it. So that is not my exact area of expertise. I've never actually done that before because I leave that to the other professionals that does their training in it. So, and that's a whole nother field.
Thank you very much. The Lord be with you. Oh God, who sings